The desperate call for help. The transmission crackled through subspace, carrying with it an unprecedented message that would forever change the balance of power in the galaxy. Admiral Sarah Chen stood rigid in the command center of Earth's defense network, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display that flickered with alien script. "Play it again," she ordered, her voice steady despite the historical significance of what she was witnessing. The communications officer, Lieutenant Marcus Rivera, nodded and reinitialized the playback. The room filled with static before a desperate voice, translated through universal algorithms, echoed through the chamber. "This is High Chancellor Thrax of Valdora Prime. We, the species you have labeled as Deathworlders, are issuing our first and only request for assistance. Our civilization faces annihilation at the hands of the Zargonian Empire. We offer full technological exchange and alliance in return for immediate military intervention. Please, we have nowhere else to turn." Chen's eyebrows rose slightly. The Valdorians, those same beings who had once dismissed humanity as soft primitives during first contact 20 years ago, were now begging for help. The irony wasn't lost on anyone in the room. "Sir, the transmission origin has been confirmed," Rivera reported. "It's definitely from the Valdorian home system. Energy signatures indicate they're under heavy bombardment." General Alexander Petrov, Earth's military liaison to the United Nations Space Command, entered the room with purposeful strides. "I've just come from the emergency council session. They're debating our response." Chen turned to face him. "And what's the prevailing sentiment?" "Mixed," Petrov admitted. "Some want to let the Valdorians face the consequences of their isolationist policies. Others see this as an opportunity to finally prove humanity's worth to the galactic community." The Admiral walked to the large viewport overlooking Earth's orbital shipyards. Dozens of vessels, from nimble frigates to massive dreadnoughts, floated in various stages of readiness. "The Valdorians called us too weak to survive when we first met them. Now they're learning that survival isn't just about physical strength." Rivera interrupted their conversation. "Admiral, we're receiving additional data packets from Valdora Prime. They're sharing their military intelligence on the Zargonians." Chen and Petrov crowded around the display as technical readouts and tactical assessments filled the screen. The more they read, the grimmer their expressions became. "The Zargonians are using planet cracker weapons," Petrov muttered. "No wonder the Valdorians are desperate. Look at these force projections." Chen pointed to a section of the data. "The Zargonian fleet outnumbers the Valdorian defenders 10 to 1. They're not just trying to conquer, they're attempting genocide." An urgent communication chirped from Chen's personal device. She answered it, listened intently, then ended the call with a sharp nod. That was the president. "The council has made its decision. We're going in." The command center erupted into controlled chaos as officers began issuing orders and coordinating with fleet commanders. Chen raised her voice above the din. "I want the first response fleet ready for deployment within 6 hours. Full combat loadout, maximum crew complement." Petrov moved to the tactical planning station. "We'll need to approach this carefully. The Valdorians may be desperate, but they're still proud. We can't appear as conquerors." "Agreed," Chen said. "We're going as allies, not saviors." "Rivera, draft a response to Chancellor Thrax. Inform them that Earth stands ready to assist, but will need complete tactical integration with their remaining forces." As preparations continued, Dr. Elena Vasquez, Earth's leading xenobiologist, joined the command staff. She had studied the Valdorians extensively since first contact. "Admiral, there's something you should know about Valdorian psychology," she began. "For them to ask for help, especially from us, means they're truly at the brink. Their entire culture is built around self-reliance and physical dominance." Chen nodded thoughtfully. "Which makes our response even more crucial. This could reshape galactic politics for generations." Hours passed as the human fleet assembled. The flagship, UES Resilience, served as the centerpiece of the Armada. Its sleek, angular design belied the devastating firepower contained within its hull. Surrounding it were dozens of support vessels, each representing humanity's finest engineering and military prowess. Captain James Morrison, commander of the Resilience, contacted Chen from his bridge. "Admiral, all systems are green. The fleet is ready for jump on your order." Chen took a deep breath, aware that her next words would commit humanity to its first major interstellar conflict. "Captain Morrison, you are authorized to proceed to Valdora Prime. Rules of engagement: protect civilian populations, engage Zargonian forces with extreme prejudice, and coordinate with any remaining Valdorian military units." "Understood, Admiral." Morrison out. As the fleet prepared for departure, Chen received one final transmission from Valdora Prime. Chancellor Thrax appeared on screen, his reptilian features showing obvious signs of exhaustion and stress. "Admiral Chen, we have received your response. I struggle to express our gratitude. When you arrive, you will find us diminished but not broken. We await your fleet with hope." A feeling I had forgotten existed. The transmission ended, leaving Chen to contemplate the magnitude of what was about to unfold. Humanity, once dismissed as weak by the very beings now pleading for salvation, was about to demonstrate why Earth's children had earned the right to stand among the stars. The jump drives of the human fleet began to power it up, creating a symphony of energy that lit up the space around Earth. As the ships vanished into hyperspace one by one, those remaining behind could only watch and wait, knowing that the next few days would determine not just the fate of Valdora Prime, but humanity's place in the cosmic order. In the depths of space, racing toward a distant world under siege, the human fleet carried with it more than just weapons and soldiers. It carried the collective determination of a species that had clawed its way from the primordial mud to the stars, ready to show the galaxy that true strength came not from physical might alone, but from the courage to stand for others when they needed it most. Part 2. The Furious Response. The human fleet erupted from hyperspace at the edge of the Valdorian system like avenging angels, their arrival sending ripples through the fabric of space-time. Captain Morrison stood at the center of the Resilience's bridge, his jaw set with determination as tactical displays lit up with enemy contacts. "Multiple Zargonian vessels detected," reported Commander Lisa Nakamura, the ship's tactical officer. "They've established a blockade around Valdora Prime. I'm counting at least 60 capital ships and hundreds of support craft." Morrison studied the tactical display, his mind racing through combat scenarios. "Signal all ships. Formation Delta 7. I want our heavy cruisers screening the carriers and our fast attack wings ready to exploit any gaps in their formation." The human fleet moved with practiced precision, a testament to years of training and preparation. Unlike the ornate, ceremonial movements of many galactic powers, human ships maneuvered with brutal efficiency, every action designed for maximum combat effectiveness. "Sir, we're being hailed by the Zargonian fleet commander," announced Lieutenant Santos from communications. "On screen," Morrison ordered. The view screen filled with the image of a Zargonian admiral, his chitinous features arranged in what passed for a sneer among his species. "Unknown vessels, you have entered a designated pacification zone. Withdraw immediately or face annihilation." Morrison stepped forward, his voice carrying the weight of humanity's resolve. "Zargonian fleet, this is Captain James Morrison of the United Earth Ship Resilience. We are here in response to a legitimate request for assistance from the Valdorian people. You will cease all hostile actions and withdraw from this system immediately." The Zargonian admiral's mandibles clicked in what might have been laughter. "The humans dare to interfere. Your species is barely spaceworthy. Return to your mud ball before you learn the true meaning of power." "You have 30 seconds to begin withdrawal procedures," Morrison replied coldly. "This is your only warning." The transmission cut off abruptly. Nakamura turned to Morrison. "They're powering weapons, sir. All ships report ready for combat." "Then let's show them what humans are capable of. All ships engage at will." Priority targets are their planetary bombardment vessels. Protect the civilian populations at all costs. The space around Valdora Prime erupted into chaos. Human ships, smaller but more maneuverable than their Zargonian counterparts, darted through the enemy formation like wolves among sheep. The Zargonians, accustomed to formal battle lines and ceremonial combat, found themselves overwhelmed by human tactics developed through millennia of warfare. "Sir, the Valdorians are hailing us," Santos reported. A holographic image of a Valdorian military commander appeared. Despite their reptilian features, the exhaustion and desperation were evident. "Human vessels, this is War Master Kryn. Our defensive grid is failing. The Zargonians have deployed atmospheric disruptors. Millions of civilians are at risk." Morrison didn't hesitate. "War Master, transmit coordinates of the disruptor platforms. We'll handle them." He turned to his crew. "Launch all fighter wings. Commander Nakamura, coordinate with our destroyers for precision strikes on those platforms." The human fighters, sleek and deadly, streaked toward the planet's atmosphere. Lieutenant Colonel Maria Rodriguez led the assault, her squadron weaving through anti-aircraft fire with practiced ease. "All wings, this is Phantom Leader. Target lock confirmed on disruptor platforms. Fox 3, Fox 3. Missiles streaked from the human fighters, finding their marks with devastating accuracy. One by one, the Zargonian disruptor platforms exploded, their destruction visible even from orbit. Back on the Resilience, Morrison coordinated the larger battle. Human tactics, honed through centuries of conflict on Earth, proved devastatingly effective against the Zargonian fleet. Where the enemy expected formal challenges and ritualistic combat, they found instead coordinated strikes, electronic warfare, and unconventional maneuvers. "Captain, the Zargonian flagship is breaking formation," Nakamura reported. "They're attempting to ram the orbital defense station." Morrison's eyes narrowed. "Not on my watch. Helm, intercept course. Nakamura, prepare the main gun. Target their engines." The Resilience surged forward, its powerful drives pushing it to speeds that would have torn apart lesser vessels. The ship's main weapon, a magnetic accelerator cannon capable of launching projectiles at significant fractions of light speed, charged with a distinctive whine. "Firing solution locked," Nakamura announced. "Fire," Morrison ordered. The cannon discharged with enough force to shake the entire ship. The projectile, a dense slug of depleted uranium, crossed the distance to the Zargonian flagship in milliseconds. It struck the enemy vessel's engine section, causing a cascade of explosions that rippled through the ship's structure. As the Zargonian flagship listed helplessly, Morrison opened a channel to the enemy fleet. "Zargonian forces, your flagship is disabled. Surrender now, and we'll guarantee the safety of your crews. Continue fighting, and we'll show no quarter." The battle raged for hours, but the outcome was never truly in doubt. Human ships, products of a species that had evolved on a world of constant struggle, proved more than a match for the Zargonian fleet. By the time the enemy began to retreat, nearly half their vessels had been destroyed or disabled. On Valdora Prime's surface, the population watched in awe as their skies cleared of enemy ships. The beings they had once dismissed as weak had not only answered their call for help, but had done so with a ferocity and effectiveness that defied their understanding. War Master Kryn contacted the Resilience again, his voice filled with a mixture of gratitude and disbelief. "Captain Morrison, your intervention has saved millions of lives. We had not thought such martial prowess possible from your species." Morrison allowed himself a slight smile. "War Master, humans have been fighting for survival since we first climbed down from the trees. We've had a lot of practice." As the immediate threat subsided, the real work began. Human medical ships moved into orbit, offering assistance to wounded Valdorians. Engineering teams worked alongside their alien counterparts to repair damaged infrastructure. And throughout it all, a new understanding began to form between the two species. The Valdorians, who had prided themselves on their physical strength and martial culture, found themselves reassessing their view of humanity. Here was a species that had not only survived on a world they considered impossibly hostile, but had thrived there, developing capabilities that surpassed their own in many ways. Admiral Chen, monitoring the situation from Earth, received regular updates on the progress. The political implications were already becoming clear. Other species in the galactic community were taking notice of humanity's decisive action and military capability. As the human fleet secured the Valdorian system, preparing for the possibility of Zargonian reinforcements, a new chapter in galactic history was being written. The soft primitives from Earth had proven themselves to be anything but, and the balance of power among the stars would never be the same again. The turning of the tide. The aftermath of the initial battle brought a brief respite, but Captain Morrison knew it wouldn't last. The Zargonian Empire wasn't known for accepting defeat gracefully. As the human fleet consolidated its position around Valdora Prime, long-range sensors detected what everyone had been dreading. "Sir, massive energy signatures detected at the system's edge," Lieutenant Santos reported, his voice tight with tension. "It's the Zargonian Second Armada. They're bringing everything." Morrison studied the sensor data, his expression grim. "Numbers. Over 200 capital ships, sir, plus support vessels and troop transports. They're not just coming to fight. They're coming to occupy." The bridge fell silent as the crew absorbed this information. They had won the first battle, but the real test was about to begin. Morrison activated the fleet-wide communication system. "All ships, this is the resilience. Prepare for extended combat operations. The Zargonians are bringing reinforcements, and they're not going to make the same mistakes twice." On Valdora Prime, Chancellor Thrax met with Morrison via holographic communication. The Valdorian leader's bearing had changed noticeably since their first contact. Where once there had been desperation, now there was something approaching respect. "Captain Morrison, our ancient texts speak of the fury of cornered beasts. I believe we are about to witness why your species survived your death world," Thrax said. Morrison nodded. "Chancellor, we need to coordinate our defenses. My tactical team has a plan, but it requires complete trust between our forces." "You have it," Thrax replied without hesitation. "Your actions have earned that and more." The plan Morrison and his team had devised was audacious. Rather than meeting the Zargonian Armada in open space, they would use Valdora Prime's unusual orbital mechanics to their advantage. The planet had 3 large moons, each with significant gravitational influence. By positioning their forces correctly, they could create a killing field that would neutralize the Zargonians' numerical advantage. "It's called defense in depth," Morrison explained to the combined human-Valdorian command staff. "We'll layer our defenses, forcing them to fight through multiple engagement zones. Each zone will be designed to exploit different weaknesses in their formations." War Master Kryn studied the tactical display with growing appreciation. "This is unlike any battle doctrine in our databases. You don't fight for glory or honor, you fight to win." "Exactly," Morrison confirmed. "On Earth, we learned long ago that the only honor in war is protecting those who cannot protect themselves." As the Zargonian Second Armada approached, the human-Valdorian alliance put their plan into action. Ships were positioned with mathematical precision, creating overlapping fields of fire and mutual support networks. Minefields were deployed in carefully calculated patterns, and electronic warfare platforms were activated to disrupt enemy communications. The Zargonian fleet, confident in their numerical superiority, advanced in traditional formation. Their admiral, Supreme War Leader Zekthor, broadcast a message of intimidation. "Surrender now, and some of you may be permitted to live as servants of the Empire. Resist, and you will all perish." Morrison's response was characteristically human. "Come and take it." The battle began with the Zargonians encountering the first defensive layer, automated weapons platforms hidden among debris fields. As their vanguard ships were torn apart by unexpected fire, the human fast attack squadrons struck from multiple vectors, causing chaos in the enemy formation. "They're trying to adapt," Nakamura reported, reforming into a defensive sphere. "Just as we predicted," Morrison said. "Execute Phase 2. The second phase involved the Valdorian ships, which had been modified with human technology. Their powerful energy weapons, now enhanced with human targeting systems, began picking off Zargonian command ships with surgical precision. As the battle progressed, the true difference between human and Zargonian military philosophy became apparent. The Zargonians fought for conquest and glory, following rigid doctrines and ceremonial protocols. The humans fought for survival and protection, adapting their tactics moment by moment, exploiting every weakness and showing no mercy to those who threatened innocent lives. "Sir, the Zargonian flagship is breaking through our lines," Santos warned. "They're making a run for the planet." Morrison's eyes narrowed. "They're going for a decapitation strike. All ships converge on the flagship. It's time to end this." What followed would become known in galactic history as the miracle at Valdora. The human fleet, despite being outnumbered, executed a series of maneuvers so complex and precisely timed that military academies would study them for generations. Ships appeared to dance through space, their movements orchestrated like a deadly ballet. The Resilience led the charge, its main guns blazing as it carved a path through the Zargonian formation. Other human ships followed, each playing its part in a grand strategy that seemed to unfold with inevitable precision. Supreme War Leader Zekthor, watching his fleet crumble around him, finally understood what he was facing. These weren't the weak primitives his intelligence had suggested. These were apex predators from a world that had forged them in the crucible of constant struggle. As the Zargonian flagship came under concentrated fire from multiple human vessels, Zekthor made one last attempt to salvage victory. He ordered his ship to overload its reactors, intending to take the human fleet with him in a massive explosion. But humanity had learned to anticipate such desperate measures. A specialized team of human marines, led by Major Angela Torres, had already infiltrated the flagship during the chaos of battle. As Zekthor gave his final order, Torres and her team stormed the bridge. The fight was brief but brutal. Human marines, products of Earth's high-gravity environment, moved with speed and strength that the Zargonians couldn't match. Within minutes, the bridge was secure, and Zekthor was in custody. With their leader captured and their fleet in ruins, the remaining Zargonian forces surrendered. The battle was over, but its implications would resonate throughout the galaxy. In the days that followed, as human and Valdorian crews worked together to secure the system and provide aid to those affected by the conflict, a new relationship was forged. The Valdorians, humbled by their near extinction and awed by human capabilities, formally requested an alliance with Earth. Chancellor Thrax, in a ceremony broadcast across known space, made a historic declaration. "Let it be known that the Valdorian people were wrong. We judged humanity by their origin, not their character. We called them weak because they came from a death world, not understanding that such an origin had made them stronger than we could imagine. Today, we name them friends, allies, and protectors." The ripple effects were immediate. Other species, particularly those who had dismissed or marginalized humanity, began reassessing their positions. Diplomatic delegations arrived at Earth in unprecedented numbers, seeking treaties, trade agreements, and military alliances. Admiral Chen, reviewing the after-action reports, allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. Humanity had not only proven its worth, but had done so while staying true to its values. They had shown strength without cruelty, determination without arrogance, and compassion without weakness. As the human fleet prepared to return home, leaving behind a garrison to help rebuild and protect Valdora Prime, Captain Morrison received one final message from War Master Kryn. "You have taught us something profound, Captain. True strength isn't in the ability to destroy, but in the courage to protect. The galaxy will not forget this lesson." The journey home was triumphant, but Morrison knew this was just the beginning. Humanity had announced its presence on the galactic stage in unmistakable terms. The question now was not whether humans belonged among the stars, but what role they would play in shaping the future of galactic civilization. As Earth came into view, blue and beautiful against the black of space, Morrison reflected on how far humanity had come. From cave dwellers to starfarers, from tribal warriors to galactic protectors, the journey had been long and difficult. But perhaps that was exactly what had prepared them for this moment. The death world that had forged them had given them something unique. The ability to face impossible odds with unwavering determination, to find strength in unity, and to extend a helping hand even to those who had once scorned them. As humanity took its place among the stars, it did so not as conquerors, but as guardians, ready to ensure that never again would any species face extinction alone.